All right, got several things to talk about tonight. Good, should be a good evening. Several interesting topics. Some mostly on topic. First off, I'm really concerned about this vaping that's been in the news the last few days, and these teenagers getting really ill from it. And I've only got a couple things to say about that. Number one, it's a tobacco product, and why teenagers have got a hold of it is beyond me. It's been proven teenage brains are still developing. And number two, I vape. I've vaped for about 4 years now. That's about the normal amount of vapor that I produce. I don't. Okay, that's extreme. All these news items you see, these people are sucking on these vapes and creating a smoke cloud like they're a World War II destroyer trying to outrun a submarine. I make it to be about the same as the difference between smoking a cigarette and smoking a Corona and inhaling it. Well, yeah, that's gonna screw your lungs up. Moderation in everything. Well, most things. All right. I learned another lesson this week that it's really hard to do satire and sarcasm in print. And unfortunately, I learned about the tilde a day too late when I replied to a Facebook comment about this guy had put out a video on how to make copies of the Little Brown Books. And I made a comment to a lawyer friend of mine about, is this a new way to, steal books? And the guy's video said that, no, you got to own a copy of your own PDF. And then if you make a copy of your own PDF, and he was right. I was trying to be sarcastic, a little satirical. If poor Jim Ward had the duty after I left at TSR at several conventions to be the dick that went around and took away photocopied copies of stuff from people. TSR was the dick, and they made him do it. So I didn't mean to put this guy up to ridicule in that. I was being satirical. There have been so many dodges over the years and so many ways to get around the copyright laws. So, no, I didn't mean to belittle the man. And he was giving you a legitimate, hey, this is how you can do it if you want to have your own copy to love and cherish. And I'm okay with that. Sorry. Got a double comment here. The Alumni Association of Southern Illinois University at Carbondale has been on me to update my alumni information. And so I finally called the 888 number. And I updated and verified my information and updated a little more. And yeah, I had another degree and yada. And then she started to pitch me to buy a copy because this is the 150th year of Carbondale. And there's going to be like 220,000 alumni listed in this book. It's 2 volumes. It's so big, apparently, or I don't know, because it's available in the package with a T-shirt and a sweatshirt and a special ball cap. These are all special shirts in the alumni 150 thing. Only 2 payments of $139. Or was it 169? I think it was 169. Anyway, this book's it's over $300. And I said, no, I wasn't interested. Well, would you like the pared down version of the 5 years around? I said, no, I'm not interested. And she sounded genuinely puzzled. And I said, look, I got to explain. I didn't come to school to get go to Carbondale to get a a touchy-feely, warm and fuzzy experience. I was married and I had a child when I got there. I worked part-time. I went to school full-time. My wife worked full-time, and together we took care of our child. I didn't make a lot of lasting friends, though there are some guys that I'm looking to getting back in touch with next month. I told you about that earlier, about the old game group. But she was genuinely surprised. And I said, no, I'm sorry. I'm not that interested. I went there to get a degree. I got the degree. And, they did what I paid them to do. They gave me an education and a piece of paper that said, which I probably wouldn't have needed to go to work for Gary anyway, but I did. So in the meantime, in this course, she wanted to know about my cell phone. Could she have my cell number? And I asked her why. She said, so people can get a hold of you. Well, cell phones and I have a very uneasy relationship. I'm having one of my grandchildren show me how I can block calls, because it's getting ridiculous with the unsolicited calls, number one. And they seem to come in at opportune times, just, randomly. Number two, I don't have a cell phone to be called on except by special people, family, close friends. Last thing I want is to be standing on a lake somewhere and have my phone start buzzing. Now, I carry a phone so that if I have a heart attack or a stroke and it doesn't kill me, I can call for help. If I get to the grocery store and see something, oh, is this the brand or is that the brand? I'll call my wife and ask her. My cell phone I carry for my convenience, which is why I don't give the number out. I do give it to convention organizers so they can find me at the convention. That's it. Anyway. Oh, now this is a topic I have to be very careful on, because if I shout too loudly, I'll wake up my lovely wife who's sleeping right above me. But I saw a thing on Facebook this week that made my head explode. And I thought I was back in 1983. Some lunatic Catholic pastor in Tennessee, after consulting with several exorcists, made the decision to pull all the J.K. Rowling books out of the school system's library because he declared that the spells and curses were real. It's 1983 again. Oh, my God. Gary's classic response was, well, if you think it's real, try spending the gold. Several people made the suggestion that it was so ludicrous that J.K. should just offer $1 million, because God knows she's as rich as the Queen. Though, bless her, she's not anymore, because she's given a great deal of her money away to good causes. But in any event, she ought to offer $1 million to see if I can make one of those spells work, or those curses. I got to think that one of the things that I thought was brilliant about her books was her spells, because she used very simple bowdlerized Latin. And so it made a certain sense. And of course, it was all we know, the wand focusing the power in the words. Hey, we play D&D. We know how this crap works. The stated reason for doing this was because if the people read it often enough, they run the risk of making the curse come upon themselves or summoning up. This guy got through a Catholic seminary. Did he think he was back in the Spanish Inquisition? And he's going to look for people to burn at the stake? Oh, you know who I feel sorry for? I feel sorry for the parishioners in the school children in that school, that they are led by such an ignorant, so totally out of it individual. I want to call him an ignoramus, but that's redundant. But he is. Okay. In response to the who did what to start where, good wrap up. D&D is both peanut butter in the chocolate and chocolate in the peanut butter. Yeah, who cares? Yeah, Bronstein was the catalyst. I agree. Well, I guess I said that. But yeah, that's succinct and get it. Now, somebody whose handle I didn't recognize sent me a comment saying, "How is life treating you, youngster?" Well, that would indicate that they're older than me, which puts them north of 70. And other than the fact that I figured out I've just got told I have bone spurs in my shoulder, and I need Tommy John surgery to clean out my rotator cuff. Which point I said, nah, I gave up my chances of throwing in the majors a long time ago. Other than that, neat, it's gotten wonky the last few days. I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. Thanks for asking. If you're so inclined, I would enjoy hearing more about your miniatures gaming. Okay, briefly. I didn't get into miniatures until college. I never saw them. I mean, I saw Britons in stores and stuff like that, but I never saw what we would call minis, lead minis, because they were all lead back then. Until I got to college, and oh my God, I was in love. We were playing 7 Years' War and Napoleonics and using the same figures as often as there. Some of them got used in both ways. In one period of time, they'd be Brunswickers, and another period of time, they'd be Prussians, or whatever. I just fell in love with the fact that this is what I had done all those wasted afternoons in my sandbox at home as a kid, setting up battles and shooting off firecrackers, and that this was it for real. And it wasn't too long before, I don't know, I'd been there about a quarter, I guess. Yeah, I guess I'd been there about a quarter, and I wanted to get more people to play. And, and get more people in the club. I figured, giant college, there's got to be more gamers out there. Because I just stumbled upon it because somebody I knew said, "Oh yeah, I heard," and so anyway, long story short, we made a name and formally had founded ourselves and everything, and we went to the activity fair, and we set up a 7 Years' War battle, like mid-turn type thing, as a live attention getter, and it was huge. It was huge. Drew people in, like I said earlier. I think our club grew like by 100% that activity fair. My miniatures. Well, I was one of the fortunate few that had a sand table. Most of the time we played armor, but certainly not all the time. Played a lot of what did we play? We played Napoleonics. We played 7 Years' War. Played a lot of armor. The very first con I went to, the second con I went to in 1975, when I went to, get together with Brian and Gary face to face and hash out the final details in that. I entered 3 Ancients tournaments with 3 different sets of rules, and I won all 3 of them. So when I finally got to meet Gary and Brian, it was probably Saturday afternoon, early evening, I'm walking around with a little cardboard box full of trophies for these miniatures games. And Gary goes, "What you got in the box?" I said, "Oh, a bunch of trophies I won." "Oh yeah, for what?" I said, Ancients. "What rules?" I said, and I named off the rules. "Oh," because they weren't his. And of course, Gary was still working on Classic Warfare all those years. It was brewing in the back of his mind. And I liked all 3 sets of the rules we played by because they all emphasize different aspects. The impersonality of playing a board game where a chip represents, even if it's just one man, like in Sniper or something, it's not the same as holding a figure that looks like a man or a woman or, whatever you're playing with. And I just like the tactile aspect of it. Always have. I love, I spend lots of time in at the game conventions I go to. I spend as much time as I can find out when all the miniatures games are being played, because I just love seeing a panorama of all the figures spread out in the scenery. Here we go. Yep, it's yawn time. I so tried not to do that. I even started earlier tonight. I've not played nearly as many miniatures as I'd like to. There's several systems that I've seen played that I don't know if I care to or not. If I were to get back into miniatures gaming today, I'd definitely be doing skirmish type stuff. Small units, small number of figures, large scale. In terms of ground scale on the tabletop or whatever, that's probably where I'd be at. There's some great skirmish rules out there, most of which are English, of course. But then again, the English are far more into figure playing than we are. Far more. Now, there might not be as many, but percentage-wise. And really, that's about all. I painted for years and years. I got pretty good. Took some of my stuff when I first moved to Cincinnati, put it in a glass display case at the game store. I'm blanking on the name. I'll think about it in a second. Boardwalk Hobbies. And ended up selling them all because somebody ended up making an offer I couldn't refuse. And so, and I didn't paint micro armor because that was silly if you played with it on sand because it abraded. But I did paint 40 or 50 1 to 300 scale biplanes. And I painted 4 and 5 color lozenge pattern. There's a moth. Just flew in front of the camera. I painted 4 and 5 color lozenge pattern and camouflage on the wings. That's what accelerated the demise of my eyes. I've since had cataracts and cataract, all that crap. So I got like new eyes again. And so miniatures can ruin your eyes, but I love the painting. I enjoyed when they were lead. You could do the mods and modifications. In fact, a friend of mine who did a column for me years and years ago in both Dragon and Adventure Gaming called The Fantasy Smith is figuring out how to set up so he can do a series of videos on painting and prepping and stuff like that. And he's quite good. So I'm looking forward to helping him get started on that. Did you ever try RuneQuest or any other alternatives to D&D? Well, I played in some celebrity games that I were told were D&D that I wasn't too sure. But no, willingly did I ever set up? No. Keep in mind again that I'm primarily a DM because that's where I started. That's where I spent most of my that's where I spent all of my first couple of years was DMing. And I'm a board gamer and a minis gamer. In that order, boards, minis, role-playing. So no, I didn't have a lot of incentive to do that. So I don't need to. I already knew one inside and out, having written part of it and edited all of it. So why bother? Okay, thanks for addressing that article. Yeah, that was the one about people pushing original players pushing back. To me, it did read as rather one-sided. Most of the facts jive with my understanding of the history. However, the presentation seemed to have a directed agenda. I appreciate your take. My take is the way I see it and the way I remember it and the way I believe it to be. Next. I just started reading the book Playing at the World of History of Simulating Wars, People and Fantastic Adventures from Chess to Role-Playing Games. Wonderful book. It's about this thick. And I'll be honest, the first 40% is a tough slog unless you're a history buff and you want to know about how gaming began and how it was the hobby of the rich to, collect flats. Soldiers that were, one-dimensional and intricately painted and moved around on the table. Wonderful book. My friend John Peterson wrote it. I'll be glad to pimp it again for him. You ought to look it up, buy it, find it used on eBay if you can. I have no idea who would possibly want to sell theirs, but if you can, that's a great time. And it does have a lot of good facts on the creations of and the beginnings. Okay, here's this next one. Okay, this is a gent that originally spoke about the nonprofit that works with games as therapy. Okay, now, that was about the time my computer crashed. And they want to be a part of the think tank, and they will be. And they've done the research on what states would work for reciprocal. I put my glasses on. Reciprocal 5013Cs. With all this said, in December, we're hosting an event I suppose you would call a mini-con, because it will be it'll be for around 70 cancer patients. It'll be about 3 hours, but I'm going to see if we can push it to 4. That said, do you have any suggestions on games besides D&D that would work for non-RPGers that'd be easy to learn in that short a time span? Yeah, I can think of one right away, and that's any one of the Ticket to Ride games. Everybody likes trains. The mechanics are very simple. The strategy is a little harder, but hey, if it's going to be a first game for everybody will be on an even playing field. It's one of the few games that I like to play that my wife actually enjoyed playing once. And afterwards, she was saying, "Oh, if I'd only done," and I almost thought I had a gamer there, but it didn't pan out so much. But we still play cards 3-4 afternoons a week, probably. And she's very, very good. She holds her own. So yeah, I'm still working on collating. I have another individual who has sent me all his stuff. I'm going to be working on this, trying to put all this together at the same time that I'm going to a convention. I'm leaving on the 19th of this month. And then I'm coming back, and 36 hours later, I'm going back to Illinois with my wife so she can go to her 50th nursing school reunion. So this is on my agenda. It's just I've got a lot of shit on my plate right now. So oh, and there's something I meant to do. If you go to the GoFundMe page, look for a man named Juan Martinez. He's a friend of mine. I met him 6-7 years ago at the auction at Gen Con. A really, really interesting artist. Makes some wonderful stuff, and he's got a horrible disease. And to be frank, he doesn't have a very long prognosis. He's drowning in debt. He can't work. His girlfriend is in danger of being downsized out and is trying, and he needs some help. So if you can help, go do what you can. Juan Martinez. He's got a GoFundMe going. Tim, do you know SAGA? Well, I know 2 sagas. I know SAGA, the illustrated novel or adult comic, whatever the correct terminology is. And I know it's in hiatus right now, or at least it was last I knew. Or if you're talking about that really lame-ass card game piece of crap that TSR put out back when they were desperate. I guess that answers your question. Do I prefer basic or advanced? Well, you see, that's kind of what I've been trying to say all these almost 100 videos now. I play something that's in between O and A. What I like to think was a natural progression, and I kind of froze it in time when first edition came out. So I guess I show a preference by what I play. But both of the game systems are excellent for what they're intended to do. Basic, to give you a taste, see what's going on, and ease in to the shallow end of the pool. Advanced, grab your nose and jump. I don't prefer one to the other, actually. What I play is closer to AD&D. You speak periodically of various cons that you are or will be attending. And the majority would seem to be up north, with the exception of being North Texas RPG Con. Is this due to lack of invitations to Southern cons, lack of interest in traveling that far due to already putting your time in on the con trail, or too often they compete with cons you already frequent and committed? I ask this for the selfish reason of hoping that one day you'll be at a con close enough to meet you in person and possibly shaking. Oh, well, thank you very much. Hang on, thank you. That's too embarrassing to read. Bottom line, I go to cons that pick up my expenses. That wasn't always the case. When I started going to Gen Con as an auctioneer, all they did was give us a shitty room to share. And we were on our own for everything else. And we did get better rooms, but we never got food money or anything. But we had food back in the back where we weren't supposed to. So I got to eat on their tab. I go to GaryCon, and will continue to go to GaryCon in honor of my friend Gary. I told the family right after Gary died, and they floated this idea that I would go to GaryCons as long as I'm able to go. They comped me half a room. I drive myself up. I pay for my own gas. And they give me a little per diem money. I usually spend it on the con souvenirs, and then I eat as catch can. I go to Texas because 10, 11 years ago, Doug Ray emailed me and said, hey, I'm going to do this convention in Texas, and I'd like you to be a guest to help bring people in. And I said, okay. And he flew me down, and we had a con. It was a very modest, one big room with 3 games going in it at the same time. And we had a dinner or a lunch or whatever they call them in Texas. And I was not under any illusions that, he said, well, if this goes really well, I might be able to have you back. If it only, maybe not. And I said, hey, no hard feelings. I'm having fun. I'm in Texas, hey, it's great. And it was a free trip to Texas. And I go there because I was invited, and now I'm as a guest of honor. I've been to every one, and I'm the only one that has all 10 badges across the back. The little thing they do down there, and I'm proud of that. I go to Game Hole because it looked like fun when it started. It's an easy drive. It's only another 45 to 60 minutes farther than going to Lake Geneva to go to Madison. They put me up. I split a room with someone. They give me some eating money, and out of that, I take care of my gas, and I eat. And so I'm a pretty cheap date. I've gone to TotalCon out in Massachusetts for several years now. And same thing, they fly me out. They give me half a room to room with somebody, and they feed me. And they have all this great homemade food that they bring into the one room at the place where all the VIPs and the game masters and that can go eat. So you're seeing a pattern here. If it doesn't cost me a lot of money, I'm interested. Now this February, instead of going to TotalCon, I believe, last I heard, I'm going to be a guest in Colorado, in Denver at Genghis Khan. Now, would I go to other cons? As long as my health is good? Heck yes. I like to meet new gamers. I'm running a game now that I call the Wheel of Blame that is a rollicking, very tongue-in-cheek, very D&D, but very much about fun. And I even had Ironwind make me up a whole bunch of little tokens. So when you're playing the game, of course, to get off the Wheel of Blame, you have to have one of these. And, of course, then you get to keep it and take it home. And I like going. At TotalCon and at GaryCon, I started at both of those. Or not TotalCon, Gamehole. I started Circus Maximus. And I started it in Texas, too, and they went crazy down there. So I was bringing a board game in to these RPG conventions, but Texas just, they took it to their bosom and went crazy with it. And they have these chariot races with armored horses, with horse barding and armored chariots and 3 spears. And oh my God, what a bloodbath. But hey, they have fun, and that's what gaming is all about. Now I run a game called Dirt Track Racing. Fun, simple, banging doors, trading paint, stock car racing, pardon me, on a dirt track. Not role playing. I got the hiccups again. Not role playing. Not by a long sight. I only run them in those two because those are the two I drive to. I'm not going to haul all that crap and pay extra to the airlines to do that. Would I go to other cons? It would all depend on where. Really, it would mostly depend on the time of the year and whether or not I had conflicts with family or. I have a February con, I have a March con, I have a June con, and I have a November con. Now that leaves 8 other months. Would I like to go down south? Yeah, I'd like to get the hell over the mountains and do one out west. I'm going to get to the mountains in Denver this year, I think. Last I said, they said it was still on. So, I go to the ones that I was invited to come to as a guest. I don't insist on being a guest. That's, or I won't go. But I do insist on the majority of the tab being picked up because I'm on Social Security. And as you all know, us early guys didn't get rich. The ones that did get a lot of money ended up blowing it on bad ideas. I didn't have that problem. I didn't get it. Okay, September 20th to 22nd in Cornish, Maine, AppleCon. I'm really looking forward to this. I've never been to Maine. I'm told it's Pride and Color weekend. My wife's excited. She's going with me. Never goes to game cons with me except once in a while to Texas because we have family who lives down there. And then she stays with them. But she found out today, they got lighthouses, which are a thing for her. There's other wives going to be there. So I have no doubt they'll be out antiquing and whining, wine, the drinking thing, wine, no H, and looking at lighthouses and stuff like that. I'm really looking forward to it. Meeting a bunch of Maine gamers, seeing a bunch of people that I won't see in February that are usually at TotalCon down in Mass. So, looking forward to seeing you. I'll be doing one more next week, and then I'll be taking a couple-week hiatus because I'll be gone. Dodata Gobi. Oh, hello. I'm still figuring out when this thing starts. Welcome to my cellar.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs. Still quite a feller, a curmudgeon in the cellar.
Last man around when them rates went down. Calling Gary in that Lake Geneva town. Hey Gary, it's an awful mess. Let me edit, we'll have success. D&D and Dragon Magazine.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar.
Magic missile, it's a mortar shell. Make it hit in the first level spell. Brought psionics to the game to attack that wizard's grave. PSR and fantasy, collection of micro armory. Titan with tramp under a tree, high as could be.
He's the curmudgeon who wrote about the dungeons. Now he's the feller, live from the cellar. Talks about D&D and old school RPGs, but he's still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Still quite the feller, the curmudgeon in the cellar. Curmudgeon.